Welcome in to a new edition of what you usually know as the How About Them Celtics podcast. We are calling this Handsome Guys Talk Hoops because we think it's funny. I think
it's been tossed around for a while. It's a name I've dabbled with, thrown around, and we finally found a use for it. So throughout the summer, we're going to keep ourselves busy. We're going to react to all kinds of different NBA-related things.
100%.
Whether it's lists, trades that are proposed, different videos, highlights, whatever it may be. We're going to keep the content coming on days where we don't drop podcasts. Try and get you a little something in the inbox.
Of course. So if you're a regular listener, don't worry, the podcast will still be coming. But if you're new here and you're here for the reaction content, welcome in. This is normally the How About Them Celtics podcast, but we rebranded to Handsome Guys Talk Hoops for these reactions, so the non-Celtics fans will not be scared away. So let's just get right into it. Excuse me, can't speak English. You'll learn that. Subscribe, yes, please do. But right now we have one trade for every NBA team not in the 2023 NBA Finals. That's what we have today. An article from Bleacher Report by Greg Swartz. And yeah, we're just going to go through, give our takes on every trade, and then we'll see what happens. First trade, obviously, ABC order Atlanta Hawks. Joe Harris and Patty Mills for John Collins. I don't know about you, but my initial reaction is John Collins valued this in the dirt? Like, is this where they're at?
Yeah, I was about to say, John Collins, by the way, who has been in trade rumors since he came out the womb.
Forever.
Atlanta has no interest in keeping this guy around. If you remember correctly, he was not very good against the Celtics until he was. He remembered how to play basketball in games 5 and 6, if I remember correctly. But in the first 4 games, he was just out there running. The Celtics were targeting him. He was not very good on defense. And
yes,
it seems like he might not be part of Atlanta's future.
I will say, like, this was a guy 3 years ago, that was like a 20 and 10 machine. Like he was the legitimate double-double guy. I really just think he's just been taken out of Atlanta's offense so much with Trae Young, Jonte Murray, and DeAndre Hunter that he's one of those guys, kind of like Lauri Markkanen, that just probably needs a new situation in order to be at his best.
Imagine if John Collins gets traded away from Atlanta and he's making... Markkanen made All-NBA, right?
He did. No, he got snubbed All-NBA, actually.
But he made the All-Star game.
He did make
that is true. And he was like, when Adam Silver tried to make it a nice like love fest where nobody was getting picked last, so he had the reserves get picked first.
Yep. And
he was just the last reserve pick. So he
everyone knows
consensus the worst player in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm. But
don't forget.
I think the Nets could be a good place for him. You know, the Nets probably need a point guard if anything, but
they have Ben Simmons.
Well, maybe not. But getting John Collins in there, give him some freedom where he's not under pressure to compete all the time. I think that'd be good. For the Hawks, sure. Like, I guess. This doesn't make sense to me particularly. And we're not going to we shouldn't spend this much time on every trade. This one's just particularly, like, mind-boggling because John Collins' value. But, like, this is essentially saying, yeah, we messed up trading Kevin Huerter away last season. Let's go get another wing. Like, what?
Well, it's true. They could use... Do you think Joe Harris can be more valuable to that team than John Collins? I would say so.
Maybe, but that's like so backwards because they traded Kevin Huerter last year, and now they're going to go trade a different piece of their core for somebody who's arguably a worse version of Kevin Huerter now, right?
Yeah, Joe Harris, who is a little bit washed. He does have a really cool forearm tattoo, though.
This is true. Shout out JJ Redick. Move on. Celtics. This is the team that Sam and I cover. Kelly Olynyk for Peyton Pritchard and Gallinari. I kind of like this. I think it'd be fine for the Celtics, and I think it's good for the Jazz too. I think this is good for both teams.
It would have been cool to have Kelly Olynyk in Game 7 against Miami.
True. Very true.
Game 7, Kelly. Kelly was a guy that was thrown around ahead of the deadline that might be coming back to the Celtics as well. He was rumored.
Yeah.
They were looking for a guy that could shoot. Also, with being a big guy, they ended up with Muscala. Kelly Olynyk's been on the team. He's played with Brown before. He has not played with Tatum. He was on the team with Smart as well. There would be a little bit of a built-in chemistry, maybe. He's not going to give you a ton of rebounds, even though he got 6.2 a game this year. He was pretty good this year. And he was good in Houston, too, season. When he was in Houston. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, he was good. Agree.
Why not?
I think it's fine. And the Jazz get a young point guard. They don't really have a point guard right now. I think
Pritchard needs a little bit of space to grow. It came out
Yeah, he wants a trade. He wants out.
So
I think
sense.
this works for both teams.
Well
Ainge
done,
probably still likes
Grant
him.
Hughes.
Yes,
He
yeah,
wrote
shout
this,
out.
right?
Yes, yeah, we'll double check. There's a lot of Bleacher Report. Greg Schwartz, sorry. Oof, tough one. There's so many Bleacher Report writers. It's tough to nail which one who wrote what. But shout out Greg Schwartz. Thank you for penning this trade article for us to react to. Brooklyn Nets, Mo Bamba for Royce O'Neal. No, I don't like this deal for the Nets. I think it's fine for the Lakers because they get a nice wing.
This is
Why would
just
the
another
Nets-
case of everybody please give the Lakers free stuff.
Yeah, why
Mo
would the
Bamba,
Nets
I'm
make
not
this trade?
convinced is an NBA player anymore.
He wasn't very
He's not.
good. And
He
why
joined the Lakers
trade-
team that doesn't have a ton of depth at the big man position. Tristan Thompson was getting minutes for them in the playoffs. He was trying to guard Jokic. Then he went on TV and talked about trying to guard Jokic.
Yep.
If Mo Bamba isn't playing over Tristan Thompson, I don't really know what to tell you. He's not moving the
Bamba
needle
was
for the
hurt
Nets.
for some of it, but he came back in game 4 and was available. So
He was hurt
Question
this
marks.
whole time?
he's been hurt for a majority of like the playoffs. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know ball. But
No,
seriously,
but still though, like the Nets have Nick Claxton. They have Daron
That's where I was
Sharp, who's
going.
not amazing, but like you can get a better, at the very least, you can get a player who fits you better in return for Royce O'Neal rather than Mo Bamba. I just don't like this trade for them. I mean, from the Lakers' perspective, being unbiased, since we're handsome guys talk hoops and not how about them Celtics. Yeah, like if the Nets say yes to this, you pull the trigger because Royce O'Neal is great.
see, from
But,
a Celtics
yeah.
perspective, they can't keep getting free stuff. So Adam Silver, please step in and veto any
Sure.
trade that the Lakers might win in the offseason.
Mhm.
I'm kind of sick of. I mean,
And I think they'd win this.
they got all the free trades ahead of the deadline this year. They got off of Westbrook, who appeared to be the issue with that team. Then all of a sudden they were good, but they got key rotation players
There you
for
go.
free. Vanderbilt played a big role for them at points in the season. He was playing defense. He was able to make the three until he wasn't. D'Angelo Russell had his moments, even though he was getting booed off the floor, and Lakers fans were saying they never want to see this guy play on the team again.
Yep.
On top of that, I mean, Austin Reeves got to step up. He wasn't a free guy that they got, but he was able to fill a role because there was less Westbrook trying to dominate the ball when it wasn't LeBron.
Agree.
Just free guys for the Lakers all around. This has to
Mhm.
stop.
Next trade, Charlotte Hornets. Okay,
This is the
good
dumbest
for
one
next
on the
trade.
list. We did not look too in depth into this. I was just scrolling through it for my own purposes before, but I saw this and I was just like, why on earth is this even on the list? Is it because they don't know what's
Well,
going on?
I think the reason is like a lot of people are saying like why would the Hornets draft Scoot Henderson if they have LaMelo Ball? And if you're the Blazers, maybe you jump up so you can definitely get the guy you want. Right? Like this is a very like I think this is a wash if anything. It is the Hornets trading the 3rd pick and the 23rd pick to the Blazers for the 2nd pick and the 34th pick. So they'd basically be like moving down one spot early in the draft and then moving up 11 spots later in the draft. Like if you're the Hornets, I guess it makes sense because you can bring in 2 guys who maybe you like better. If you're the Blazers, maybe it makes sense because you can like definitely get the guy out of the 2 you want and the Hornets don't care. But it's just very like I think the Blazers trade this pick anyways, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics have been rumored in on this pick, other teams as well. The
Mhm.
Charlotte piece to this is interesting to me, and we've texted about this. I think it was after the lottery when these 2 teams were locked into these positions where Charlotte's in a spot where they're maybe going to draft Scoot Henderson, who they don't necessarily need. And it was like, does Charlotte kind of make a push here and try and get in a player to play alongside LaMelo right now?
Maybe.
I mean, they have
Possible.
okay pieces on that team. If you can somehow get off of that Gordon Hayward contract in a trade, and maybe the one I was like really looking at for them was maybe you get Siakam for that pick and Gordon Hayward to take that money. That
Yeah.
way it's somewhat fair where, yeah, it doesn't sound like Charlotte's getting a whole lot back for that pick, but they're also getting off the Hayward deal, the final
Yeah.
year of it. So maybe they can sign one of these guys in free agency. I mean, in a weak class where not a lot of teams have a lot of money to spend, they could add more pieces to this Charlotte team.
Maybe, but they'd be getting the Siakam contract anyway, so I don't think it would free up much space for him.
It's true. It is
So,
true.
I don't hate it though. Maybe they make a push. So Bulls trade here D'Angelo Russell, Mo Bamba, Max Christie, 2029 first for DeMar DeRozan. Now, I know anytime a Lakers trades pops up, we're quick to stop giving the Lakers free stuff.
This is a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a fine trade for both
Bulls
teams.
win this trade. That 20
I agree.
29 first is a valuable piece. That was a piece that was rumored that the Lakers were going to have to give up to get off of Westbrook this season.
Yep.
And they didn't have to. Danny helped him out for whatever reason with the Jazz. Only took one of those first-round picks. He took the 27
I don't like this
pick.
trade for the Lakers. I think this is a bad trade for the Lakers.
It is a bad trade. They give up a lot. D'Angelo Russell, who isn't going to give them much. He probably won't be back. He's been tossed around in rumors where they would sign and trade for Kyrie, which isn't going to happen. Dallas isn't going to let that happen.
But he's still an okay player, right? Like, he's still a fine player.
I don't know how much he has left. Oh my goodness, has left to give to the Lakers.
Sure.
He's getting booed off the floor in a Western Conference Finals game, and he's not like a major star player like some other individuals might have got booed off the floor in a conference finals game this year, but they're also a little bit more proven than D'Angelo Russell is.
I think it's fine. I think if I'm the Bulls, I make it because of this pick. I think Matt Christie is a fine player, and you get a point guard to play with LaVine and the other guys. And
D'Angelo Russell and LaVine can just do super cool ISOs.
Well, they need a point guard, and Russell's a point guard, and he's been a solid playmaker in the past in certain places where he'll have the ball in his hands more, and I think he'd have that in Chicago. And DeRozan's a fine player. He'd go back to play for LA where he's from, but I don't know. I feel like the Lakers should want to keep the 3-point shooting of Russell and then this pick for a different trade other than an expiring deal of a veteran player. But moving on, Cleveland Cavaliers, Corey Kispert to the Cavs for
Free.
4 second-round picks. I mean, not free. 4 seconds is a lot. Like, as much as you want to say,
didn't they give up 5? But... Not them, but like Milwaukee gave up 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder.
Yeah, terrible.
Is that true?
Terrible trade. Yes, they did. It's absolutely true. I don't know why the Wizards would do this unless they start rebuilding. Let's see what Greg
they got the new GM in there. This one, I don't care. Whatever. Kispert lit up the Celtics in one game.
Yeah, I don't know why the Wizards do this. I think Kispert's good. I think he's a solid 3D player. Like, I guess they get really cool second-round picks. But if I'm the Wizards and I'm trying to compete around Beal, I like having Kispert in that starting lineup. This is a wash, but just a meh trade. But I don't know. Whatever. Mavericks. DeAndre Ayton to Phoenix. Ayton from Phoenix to Dallas for Christian Wood, Josh Green, and JaVale McGee.
Nobody wants DeAndre Ayton on the Mavericks, quite like Bleacher Report does. Every single trade they do, he is involved. This one does not involve that number 10 overall pick, which is rumored they are going to get off of that pick. Yahoo Sports' Jake Fisher reported that Dallas is aggressively exploring trades for it, I believe. Christian Wood is as good as gone. This is a bad trade for Phoenix, in my opinion. The only thing they really get back that's worthwhile is Josh Green, who is a solid young prospect.
To be honest, I was going to sit here and say, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think the Mavericks should give up Josh Green.
Well, maybe they shouldn't. But the big emphasis for Dallas is going to be defense and rebounding this summer. Whether DeAndre Ayton is actually going to play defense is one question. But Nico Harrison came out at his exit interview after they purposely missed the playoffs to keep this number 10 pick and said the biggest goal for Dallas, aside from Kyrie, is to add defensive and rebounding around both him and Luka Doncic. So Ayton is a start. He's rebounding. If you don't think he's going to bring you defense, he is rebounding.
He is, but giving up Josh Green is giving up like your only good wing defender. That's it. It's him, kind of Reggie Bullock, and that's it.
In this case, they're not giving up the number 10 pick yet, so they can use that in another deal to maybe bring in some more help. So if this is the trade and you're Dallas and you don't have to part ways with that top 10 pick, maybe you do it.
I guess. I don't know.
In all the other Ayton trades I've seen, that pick has been thrown in.
I'd rather
that
give
really
the 10th
handicaps
pick
them.
I'd rather give the 10th pick than Josh Green.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this guy has already showed he can play with Luka and Kyrie. He was actually pretty good for them in the second half of the season.
I think Ayton's a good fit for Dallas because he fills a need because they don't have a center.
Yeah, Jason Kidd was just spinning a wheel every game and trying to decide which center he was going to throw out there while nobody in Dallas was dying, according to Kidd, which is one of my favorite quotes ever.
Yeah, it's brutal. I don't hate it. I'd try to keep hold of Josh Green, but I don't know. It's fine. Pistons trade. Devontae Graham for Marvin Bagley. Oh, well, this is disgusting. This is
Who cares?
This is gross.
Don't care.
If I'm the Spurs, yes. If I'm the Pistons, no. I guess it's crowded, but
they do have a lot of big guys now.
I guess Devontae Graham,
and they could draft another one. The what's his name?
True.
The Houston kid, Walker.
Jarius Walker.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, yeah, like you said, this is meh. Next. Warriors. Just as you said with the Bleacher Report loving sending DeAndre Ayton to Dallas, they love sending OG for Jordan Poole. OG and Thad Young for Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, and the 19th pick in this year's draft. Again, sure. This is fine. I don't care.
If I'm the Warriors, I don't hate this because I think the Jordan Poole contract is terrible. But also, and this is how I feel about the Celtics going to the summer too, that pick is going to be actually important now. With the new CBA designed to screw teams like the Warriors, and also, I guess, the Celtics, now that they're going to have to pay both these guys, you're going to need to find players that can play for you without eating a bunch of cash. The draft, especially a non-lottery pick, is a great way to do that. It's really important for teams like the Celtics and the Warriors to hit on these picks this year, because that's one of the only ways they're going to be allowed to add talent going forward.
Yeah. Agree. But at the same time, I think OG would really help them push. And he's still younger. I think he's
If they bring in OG, do they trade Wiggins then?
No, I think you run them both.
Run them both? Draymond's out?
Draymond's out, or you do
or you bring him off the bench?
Draymond at the 5.
Draymond at the 5. Good luck. Looney was one of their best players in the playoffs. Most impactful players.
I don't know. This is fine. It's I think you could probably get something better for Poole. That fits better at least. Anunoby's fine though.
The Poole situation is just interesting. Oh, who doesn't love some Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons in a 2025 first to the Rockets, and the Nets get a 2029
second round pick for Ben Simmons. That's fantastic.
Ben
Simmons, by the way, they gave up James Harden for. They have to give up an unprotected first round pick from the Phoenix Suns, which is a valuable asset.
Yep.
We're 2 years away from that. How old is KD going to be? How effective is he going to be? Chris Paul won't be on that team anymore. I mean, they already don't have a ton of depth around those guys. How much are they going to be able to add with the new CBA?
They'll be a playoff team, I think.
He's fine. Booker's fine, but they're still going to have Durant making a ton of money. They're going to have Booker making a ton of money. They've traded away all their depth. With the new CBA, how are they going to be able to bring in money? This is a terrible trade for the Nets.
Yeah, it's awful.
Ben Simmons might be a lost cause. Seriously, I do think it's funny. He just doesn't want to play basketball anymore, and he hates it.
I wouldn't. But with where the Nets are, I don't think it's worth giving up assets to get off your contract. I think you just eat
exactly. There's no. What are you going to do with that extra money? Nothing. You have nothing you can do. For Houston, it's interesting. I guess that's who this trade is for. Is Houston.
True. Ben Simmons has 2 years left on his deal. It caps out at $40.3 million, which is yikes. But just eat it if you're Brooklyn, or package him and picks and young players for a Dame or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Use his salary effectively as a dump. But whatever. Pacers trade DeAndre Ayton for Miles Turner, TJ McConnell, 26th pick in this year's draft and the 55th overall pick in this year's draft. Honestly, I kind of love this for both teams. I think it's fine. Am I crazy? Right? Ayton already signed an offer sheet with the Pacers last year. So it's clear he has interest in going there. Tyrese Halliburton gets a big man. The Suns get another big man who can probably play with their team a little bit better, space the floor, and still defend the paint. They get some guard depth, which they really need. TJ McConnell's a fine guard. He's scrappy, right? He'll play make well. He's fine. They add a first-round pick, which you were just talking about being important, so they can land a first-round talent to be some depth, and then a second-round pick, which is whatever. But, I don't know. I think this could really help both teams, and it helps the Pacers get younger. The Suns get a guy on a solid contract, realistically speaking, Miles Turner. I think it's good.
I don't know if Indiana really even wants to do this, though.
This
to me for the Pacers feels like a lateral move. You're giving up a good amount of stuff. 2 picks, TJ McConnell, who was decent for them off the bench. He's obviously not a world-eating player. And Miles Turner, who just had the best season of his career. I get the sell high aspect of trades. That's kind of how it works. But if I'm the Pacers, I'm not really sure I want to move off of Miles Turner.
Well,
my goal might be to add more talent with the cap room they have. They don't need to clear cap. And this summer, maybe target somebody to play next to Halliburton. And also wait for these other young guys, Mathurin, who was excellent in his rookie year, Neesmith, who has taken a jump since leaving the Celtics, to get better.
I think Ayton's a guy similar to what I said about John Collins, where I think he could go to a new situation and really like improve and thrive. Like he's the first overall pick in the draft, right? Like he's got real talent there, and as much as he's taken steps back, like I think it might be a little bit of a product of his environment. And maybe you say he could do that in Phoenix still this year with Monty Williams gone. Maybe they butted heads a little bit too much, but
it's true. That was where I was going to go next. Like Monty Williams isn't in Phoenix anymore. He didn't like that he wasn't getting playing time with Williams, and he obviously shut down a bit. Wanted to leave, joined the Pacers last summer, signed the offer sheet, and the Phoenix Suns matched. So he's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one makes a whole lot of sense. At least if you're the Pacers, it doesn't. To me,
I think it's all right, but we'll speed through these. We're 20 minutes in and we're only through less than half the trade, so we'll get moving. John Collins to the Clippers for Terrence Mann and Marcus Morris Sr. I like this for the Hawks, not for the Clippers. I'm not giving up Marcus Morris and Terrence Mann for John Collins if I'm the Clippers. I mean, we just saw his value as Joe Harris and Patty Mills, and so the Clippers didn't want to give up Terrence Mann in any trades this year. They took him off the market. They said, we're not trading him. And so you're going to trade him and Marcus Morris for John Collins, who his value is probably all-time low. I'm out on this trade for the Clippers. It's fine.
Well, Marcus Morris isn't getting any younger.
Yeah, but he's still like, who would you rather have in your rotation right now, Marcus Morris or John Collins?
Probably John Collins.
Really? Interesting.
Depends what team you are. I don't know.
Yeah. The Terrence Mann addition. I don't like the Terrence Mann inclusion in this. They already don't have that like great point guards, and he's like one of their better guards. I just wouldn't give him up.
Yeah.
Lakers, Chris Paul for D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. I don't care. This is like
late GM written all over it.
Yeah. I don't think Chris Paul makes the Lakers better.
I just don't know why Phoenix does this.
I think this I would do this if I'm Phoenix. I would do this. I think Russell fits better because I don't think you necessarily need a
Chris Paul is getting old.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily need a playmake heavy guard with those two guys creating their own shots. I think you need guys who can score off the ball and also create their own. Like
Beasley is a good pickup in this trade.
That'd be good for them, and I think it helps their depth most of all. So, but the Lakers, like, you've already, and I'm not saying Chris Paul's the same as Russell Westbrook, but you already had a guy who needs the ball in his hands to be most effective. So you're going to trade D'Angelo Russell for another one? I think it's dumb.
Well, no, imagine Chris Paul on the catch and shoot.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe he'll stand in the mid-range. Grizzlies, Brandon Clark, Jake LaRavia, and the 25th overall pick in this year's draft to the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like a random trade for two teams, like random, but like I think it's fine. Right?
This might be the most realistic one we've seen so far, I would say, because Kuzma does not want to stay in Washington. They've been rumored to be far apart in a contract, or he just straight up doesn't want to sign there. He didn't want to sign an extension earlier in the season when he was eligible. Washington shouldn't want to pay a guy like Kuzma right now because there's no point. They just got a new GM. They're probably going to do some scrapping. It makes sense to trade for a draft pick, trade for a young guy or younger guy in Brandon Clark, and go to work. I mean, Washington isn't going anywhere. It doesn't make sense to keep Kuzma around.
Yep, and you get a draft pick. Jake LaRavia is a nice young prospect who can shoot the ball. The only question mark is, do you really need another center? Porzingis is playing the center for them. They have Daniel Gafford off the bench. Where are you going to find those minutes? But overall, you get the pick. You get LaRavia, too. I think
Porzingis is a free agent.
Yeah, but they'll re-sign him. They'll bring him back. Bucks receive Kenrich Williams. Thunder receive Beauchamp and Pat Connaughton. I hate this for the Bucks. Why the hell would the Bucks do this? What? Am I crazy? Why is Connaughton's value that low? And why is
I think Connaughton had a bad season.
Connaughton shot, yeah, you're right, 33.9% from the field, but like I still don't think this is the answer. Beauchamp showed some real promise. He's like one of the only young players they have on the roster.
But also, if you're Milwaukee, you do have to think, how worth it is to keep Beauchamp around. What is he going to be able to do to develop? I don't know how much game time he's going to get with that team. If Pat Connaughton's not giving you useful minutes and you're trying to win now, you already have a problem with Brook Lopez being a free agent. We've talked about this a little bit, and like, are they going to be able to afford to bring him back? Who knows? Connaughton makes an okay amount of money.
I just don't think Kenrich Williams is the answer. Like, I just think this is too much value for Kenrich Williams. I mean, if I'm the Thunder, I jump on it. I love Beauchamp, but Beaucamp or however you say it. But I don't know. That's a weird one. Wizards, or excuse me, Timberwolves get Delon Wright. Wizards get Wendell Moore, Jordan McLaughlin. You talk about realistic trades. This is one because it's a lot of nothing. Timberwolves get a nice backup point guard for Conley. I really like Delon Wright. He's a good defender. He's a good playmaker. He can shoot a little bit. Wendell Moore is a nice young prospect. McLaughlin is probably a wash in this trade. Sure, this is fine. Any input? There you go. Okay. Pelicans. Pelicans get Miles Turner. They trade Pacers, Valanciunas, Kira Lewis, Najee Marshall. I think this is where I would lean on what you were saying about the Ayton trade. Like, why would the Pacers do this, right?
There's no reason for the Pacers to move off of Miles Turner to me. He was excellent for them next to Halliburton.
Especially when the young prospect you get back plays the same position as Tyrese Halliburton. Like, I just don't think it makes sense.
I don't get
on this trade.
Why they would do this. The Pelicans trade on the Bleacher Report list should be getting rid of Fat Zion. If I'm the Pelicans and I'm the GM of the Pelicans, I'm doing everything I can to get off of his contract because he clearly cannot stay on the court. He's been extended, which they had to do because they're a small market. He's been extended before really doing anything in the NBA. Sure, he had a super cool start to the season and New Orleans was towards the top of the standings, but then his body remembered that he's fat and he couldn't stay on the court. So you need to move off of that or at least explore. I feel like Zion's value is low right now, but it's also, is it going to get any higher? Who knows? It might be higher than it's going to be for a while. I'm not sure what to make of Zion. That's what I feel.
It's tough. It's a tough situation they're in. Knicks trade Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley in 2024 first to the Timberwolves for Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think this is enough value to get Towns. Maybe I value him too highly. But if I'm the Knicks, I think they'd probably have to give up a little bit more. That being said, as much as I know you hate Julius Randle, I do think he might be a better fit next to Rudy Gobert than Towns is, just because he's a little bit quicker on the perimeter. He can create his own shot a little bit better. He can move, and as much as you don't like it, he does create his own shot like decently well for
Well, I wouldn't
NBA
say
player.
decently well. He fumbles around.
He shot better than Jason Tatum on the pull-ups last year. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Towns is done in Minnesota, I think.
I think he should be at least.
I don't see him going back there. This is a
Most
good trade
importantly,
for Minnesota if they're trying to unload him. Where else could you see him going?
Exactly. I think Quickley is the star of this deal. I really like Quickley.
I agree with that too. He was almost Sixth Man of the Year. The Knicks fans were begging for it, even though he played better as a starter. They would get a free first-round pick from the Knicks, which
that's big.
Ultimately could be kind of good. What's that next season? If they get Towns, they'll probably be better.
Well, the Timberwolves have 0 first right now, so that any first is
that's true. That's true.
So,
all of them are in Utah. Good luck.
Exactly, they'd get that. But OKC, Sam.
Oh, here he is, Fat Zion.
Zion to OKC for Chet, a 2024 first and a 2026 first. I am not doing this from the Thunder.
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm jumping on this. By the way,
absolutely, yep. But if I'm the Thunder, I say
I'm
no
not
way.
doing this, and here's why.
Chet hasn't stepped foot yet.
Well, one, you technically don't know what you're going to get in Chet. In fairness to the writer, Chet is unproven, as is Zion. They're kind of similar. Zion has proven a bit more than Chet, obviously, having played in an NBA game, made an all-star team this year. And again, when he was healthy, New Orleans was a pretty good team.
All-star starter.
The problem with this is if they are to bring in Zion, the new CBA, what are they going to do with Giddey? What are they going to do with the good Jaylen Williams? I mean, they've got guys coming up, and Chet won't be there anymore.
I know you mocked it, but even the other Jaylen Williams started half their games.
the one I'm talking about was all rookie first team. Like, he was excellent. Like, he's looking like he's going to be a really good player. They're going to have to pay these guys, and the new CBA isn't going to let them. Do you really want Zion to be your guy making all that money right now next to SGA, who's also going to have to get paid?
Plus giving up 2 firsts, and I think Chet will be really good for them. I'm out on this. It's not.
There's no reason for this. This is
no risk.
Taking on salary that you don't need.
Agree. And honestly, I know you say the Pelicans should jump on it. Even them, this doesn't make them any better. And if I'm the Pelicans, I'd rather gamble on Zion than make a trade like this that takes you a step back.
I don't.
I just don't like this trade very much for either side. All right, Magic trade. Magic get Zach LaVine. Bulls get Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, John Isaac, the 11th pick in the draft, and the 2025 lottery protected pick. I know you don't love Zach LaVine, but I don't hate this for the Magic.
It feels like, well, one, in this situation, the Magic aren't giving up any real key rotation players. Suggs was kind of buried in the guard rotation. Harris hasn't been getting a ton of time for them, and Isaac hasn't really played basketball in like the last 3 seasons. He played a little bit at the end of this year. Are they going to have more room for more lottery guys this year? Maybe. They're not giving up 6 in this situation. They're bringing in LaVine, and they're kind of pushing to take a little bit of a jump as Paulo continues to grow, as Karl-Anthony continues to improve. Fultz has been pretty good for them when he's healthy. Like Orlando, we talk about this a good amount, has been a team that looks like they're kind of ready.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it this way, you'd be rolling out a starting lineup of Markelle Fultz, Zach LaVine, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. That's a team that's fighting for the play-in. Like that's a pretty good team at the very least. And like you said, they'd be giving up Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, John Isaac. Those latter two are probably just trade chips for them. The 11th pick, which originally belonged to the Bulls, that was the Vucevic trade. And the Magic would still have the 6th pick in the draft in this deal, and they'd be giving up a 25. I like this trade, and if I'm the Bulls, I also like this trade because you get a point guard in Jalen Suggs, so you can sort of develop and build up there. You get the 11th pick, which they don't have a pick in this year's draft. They get some young talent. You take a risk on John Isaac because if he gets healthy, he can be a solid piece. Gary Harris is a fine defender. You add another draft pick back to your capital, which is helpful because they don't have their 2025 first either because they traded it in the sign and trade for DeRozan. So you get some draft capital, you get Jalen Suggs, and I like this for both teams. This might be one of my favorite trades so far. Sixers next. Sixers get Eric Gordon, Marcus Morris, and the 48th pick in this year's draft. Clippers get Tobias Harris.
They get Tobias Harris back.
That's what I'm saying. And hear me out. I don't hate this for either team. I don't hate this. I think Tobias Harris.
How many more years are on Harris's contract? 1?
I think 1 or 2. I'll double check for you. But realistically speaking, I've always been of the mindset that I think Harris gets a bad rep. He has 1 more year on his contract. Next year will be the final year. I think he's fine as a 4th option. I think he'd be fine as a 3rd option. But he just gets paid too much for that because he's paid like a 1st option. But giving up Eric Gordon, Marcus Morris, and a 2nd-round pick for a guy who can come in and legitimately be like your 3rd option when everyone's healthy and probably like step up and be a 2nd option when one of them is down. Like I trust him to step up and take on those challenges more than Morris or an Eric Gordon. So I like this trade for both teams. And then if you're Philly, if James Harden leaves, it's not perfect, but you get some added depth, which will become more important if you don't have a 2nd star. So I don't know. I don't hate this deal for either team.
It's fine. It's whatever.
Another don't care. All right, that's fine. We'll keep it moving. Phoenix Suns. Suns get Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Hawks get DeAndre Ayton, Landry Shamet. I don't know why the Suns would do this. Am I crazy?
Well, they would do this. 1, Bogdanovic is a really good player. 2, Capella is a solid center. And if they have to move off of Ayton, which seems like it is the consensus for whatever reason, even though Monty Williams isn't there anymore, this is maybe the best deal I've seen for Ayton so far.
You don't like the Mavericks one better?
No, because Phoenix is not getting the rug pulled out from under them. They're not losing depth at the big man position. They still have a serviceable big guy. They're also getting an extra scoring punch off the bench, adding some depth that they needed so badly in this playoffs for really just what's supposed to happen this summer. To get rid of Ayton and you get off Shamet too, who's been inconsistent as hell for them.
I'd almost rather Christian Wood and Josh Green. Am I crazy?
Josh Green's a good piece. Christian Wood's not a winning player.
I guess. I think he's not a winning player in the situations he's been in. I think he could be a good piece in Phoenix.
I mean, think of it like this. Imagine Capella on the offensive glass in Phoenix after what he did to the Celtics in the first round.
Yeah, I see. I know what you're saying. I don't hate this, I guess.
This is a good fit for Phoenix. If I'm Phoenix, I do this 10 times out of 10. You don't have to give up any picks, not that you have any.
I think Capella's too similar to Ayton. I think Capella's too similar to Ayton.
Yeah, but he's
I
not
don't
a
think it
baby.
helped you.
That's why Ayton isn't a good
This is
fit.
meh
It's
to
not
me.
because he's not a good player. It's because it seems that he doesn't have the best mindset to be in Phoenix.
I guess you could convince me. I think maybe Capella is a better fit, even if he's not as good, in my opinion. But all right, Sam. Jaylen Brown to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, and the 2023 third overall pick.
So the third pick is an interesting piece in this case for the Celtics. One, Jaylen was the third pick. Tatum was also the third pick. You're getting off of Jaylen Brown, avoiding to pay him that big, huge Supermax extension that's on your screen in the article. You have Simons, who's been extended. He's a little smaller guard. He's only, 6'2", 6'3"? He's not that big. He's had impressive stretches when he's been asked to take on a high workload.
Arguably the worst defender in the NBA.
Which is not good. That's one of the big knocks on Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
If I'm the Celtics, I'm probably not doing this. I don't know. But that third pick also is pretty good. The top three in this draft are supposed to all pan out. Obviously, Wemby, Scoot Henderson, and Brandon Miller are all interesting prospects.
Legit, yeah.
And that could be the winner of this trade if you end up with Miller or Henderson. Maybe. I don't know what to think of this. This is very difficult for me.
I probably wouldn't do this. I've been on the record saying if I'm trading Jaylen Brown, I wait for a star better than Jaylen Brown, like a Joel Embiid, or that might be it. But I don't think the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown this summer. Whether or not they should is another question. But
they kind of said that they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Kings get Reggie Bullock. Mavericks get Richaun Holmes.
This is a good, cheap retool for the Mavs. They need a big guy. Holmes has proved to be kind of good when he's given a good amount of time to play. He hasn't
in
much
2 years. This is the same thing I said. I guess the same thing I've said with the Josh Green thing. You're giving up one of your only wing defenders for a not necessarily sure thing at center. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
but then you still not necessarily a sure thing, yes, but also. You still have all the assets that we talked about in the other trade, plus the number 10 pick. So you technically could do this trade and the other trade. Not that you would want to bring in both Ayton and Holmes, but
that's my thing. That's my thing. If I'm trading for a center, I'm trading for a center better than Richaun Holmes. Is my only point with Dallas.
Fair enough.
But I mean, this is fine, I guess. Spurs get Killian Hayes. Pistons get Devontae Graham.
Didn't we already have a Graham to Detroit trade?
Yeah, we did. It was Marvin Bagley. Yeah, I don't care. I don't know why the Pistons would do this. Killian Hayes finally showed something, and maybe it's selling high, but I'm out on Devontae Graham. I don't think he's a very good player. So
yeah, I don't care.
That's all I got. Raptors get Bradley Beal. Wizards get OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, and Christian Coloco. If I'm the Wizards, I do this 10 times out of 10. If I'm the Raptors, why? I think there's
Bradley Beal doesn't move the needle for you there.
Agree. I think if anything, OG Anunoby might be more valuable than Bradley Beal with their contracts taken into
I
account.
agree with that.
I don't like this at all.
I don't care for Beal, man.
Beal's fine. I saw some people after the Celtics loss saying I think it might be finally time, and I said no.
I sure hope not.
I will say the one thing about Beal, if we're talking Beal versus Brown, I think Beal is probably a better playmaker, ball handler, which maybe you count as more valuable. But the contract, the age, just a no for me. And
what is
no
his
for the
contract?
Raptors. Let me take a quick look here. Bradley Beal is under contract next year, 46.7, 24-25 for 50 mil, 25-26 for 53.6, and then a player option in 26-27 for 57.1.
Yeah, see, he's not making much less than Brown would. If he was making significantly less, then I would say you might have to look at it. But right now, it's not worth it.
No, not at all. Jazz trade. Jazz get Karl-Anthony. Magic get Rudy Gay and the 16th overall pick. I guess
if Orlando wants to keep just stockpiling picks.
I mean, it would also help unclutter their guard rotation, like you mentioned, like Markelle.
But Anthony's one of the good ones.
There. He is, but like to me, he projects like a Jordan Clarkson, as in he'll be a fine backup, but he's probably not, the starter on a playoff team, which is fine.
And then he can learn from Jordan Clarkson.
Exactly. I think Karl-Anthony's fine, but I think you'd open up some minutes for Jalen Suggs here, get him developed. I think he's probably got a little bit more potential. Plus, you get the 16th pick. I don't care either way. Like, it's fine, but if they don't make it, I think Karl-Anthony's fine than Orlando. And last one, Tyrese Max. Whoa, wait a second. Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, Furkan Korkmaz, Daniel House, and a 29 first. I have to cut that. I swallowed my
This
coffee.
trade has taken out Jack.
Oh my god. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Maxey Harris, Korkmaz House, and 29 first to the Wizards. 76ers get Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma. I think the value here sort of makes sense. I guess I'd probably do this if I'm both teams. Am I crazy? I'd probably do this for both teams.
This is a pretty good one. I think it gives Philly a much needed shakeup. Not sure if I'm Philly how much I like giving up Maxey. Like this, if I'm Philly, this is more fun if I'm trading Harden and keeping Maxey, because you're gonna have that same kind of issue with paying Beal a bunch of money, and also how much is Kuzma gonna command in free agency? Like he had a solid season. What's he making? $25 million.
Kuzma is a free agent and have to be a sign and trade.
Right, but like, what are they gonna end up having to pay in that?
20 to 25, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of a lot of money for him. If you're
Philly.
It is,
but I do think this makes him better. I think Beal right now is probably better than Maxey.
Maybe they fit into... So, like, if I'm Philly, right, and you can just plug and play, like, you plug Beal into Harden, that's a better fit maybe for 50 minutes. Maybe not better than Harden. But Kuzma's definitely a better fit in the role that Harris plays because he's making significantly less of money.
That being said, who's their point guard now? Melton? Is he starting a point guard? Right? Like, I guess this does hurt their point guard.
Yeah. Or maybe in this situation, they bring Harden back.
It's meh. But
Deal
thank
only
you.
goes down if Harden leaves, is what it says.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyways, thank you to Greg Swartz for, putting that together for us to react to. I think that'll be about it. Any final thoughts? What was your favorite trade?
Favorite trade? I like that Zion to OKC.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For who?
I like that for New Orleans a lot.
I like the the LaVine trade. I like LaVine to Orlando, and I like what the Bulls got in return. I think that's a fine trade. I think
also
LaVine...
Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, I like Kelly. I agree. Anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate it. And we'll go listen to our other pods. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No. Make sure you subscribe.
Yes,
leave a like. Comment. Get used to these reaction type videos coming. They might be a little bit shorter in the future.
They will
Maybe
absolutely be shorter.
I don't know what we're going to do yet.
No, this one we talked through the whole thing. This will be a long reaction video, but most of them will probably be like 10
15. Debut.
But yeah, long debut for you guys. But thank you
in
guys
fairness to us, a lot of these articles are not this long.
Mm-hmm. This was a longer one, but
make sure you subscribe, leave a like. This will not be on audio platforms. These are YouTube exclusive type content.
Yeah, which means subscribe.
Subscribe, hit the bell to find out when the newest one comes out, whether it's a new podcast, new one of these. You can follow us on socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at How About Them C's. Facebook is just the name of the pod. You'll find streams there. You'll find content there. You'd follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA on Twitter. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA on Twitter. That's it for us. Bye.